Hello and welcome to For F's Sake with Carina MacLeod. This week I've just spoken to Anna Campbell-Jones. We were talking all things Scotland's Home of the Year, subways and why it's fabulous to be in your 50s. Tune in. Anna Campbell-Jones, welcome. It's so lovely to have you on For F's Sake. So, we're just going to have a blather and just talk away. And but first of all, I just want to find out. I'm sure the listeners as well want to find out a little bit about you. So, born in London.
Yes, born in Chiswick, in West London.
So you were schooled in London,
Yeah,
and then
I went to primary school in London, secondary school, and I did a foundation course in London as well. And then I applied to foundation course is like a general course where you do all the different types of fine art and lots of different kinds of design and stuff until you work out what it is you want to do. And I knew quite early on that I wanted to do interior design. At that point, there were only 3 places in the UK that you could study it, and one of them was Glasgow School of Art. So I applied there.
Okay.
And that's what brought me to Scotland the first time around, yes.
Okay. And did you know at a young age that you were quite arty? Were you good at drawing, or was it something? Because someone once told me that you can actually learn. You can be taught to draw or improve. It's something I can't do. I can't even do a straight line. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, I've said this lots of times before, actually, but I think it's part of what it is to be human, is to be creative in some way. And I think we all have a creative outlet, even if we're not consciously aware of it. I think it's very interesting in different cultures, the attitude to art specifically. In China, drawing is taught as a discipline in the same way that maths or writing is. So you'll find that most people who are educated, brought up in China, will be excellent at drawing. So that would prove your point. My mum was a thwarted artist. She'd wanted to go to art school, but her parents hadn't let her because that's just what it was like in the 60s. And so she was always doing creative projects at home. She was always letting us make a mess, paint stuff, make things. So yeah, the idea of doing something creative was very much part of my childhood. And my dad was an architect, a very, very straight line, very staid, everything only in white kind of architects, very different aspect of creativity. So I suppose I ended up doing something which kind of overlaps the two.
yeah, the artistic gene was there from both sides. That's great. And then you've said you came to Glasgow the first time. So is it a specific course you did at Glasgow School of Art?
Yes. Well, so the degree was interior design. So, as I say, there weren't very many places you could study it as a separate subject back in the late 80s, because it's still quite a new idea that interior design is an academic subject. Well, I think of it as new. I suppose it's not now. But yeah, so I did my degree in that. And then I graduated in 1991 when there was a recession, which you may remember.
Yes.
And there was one graduate post advertised, and that was in London. And I applied for it, and I was very lucky. I got it. So I kind of had to go back to London, even though I would have much preferred to stay in Scotland.
You kind of fell in love with was it just Glasgow, or did you fall in love with Scotland?
Well, we've been going on holiday in Scotland as a family, like, for years. Like, so I was familiar with the more remote and island places of Scotland, but I hadn't experienced the cities of Scotland until I became a student, and I absolutely loved living in Glasgow. Well, and I still do, because obviously I live here now. But yeah, so it was, and I had a boyfriend who I'd met at art school who was Glaswegian, and so I had to leave him behind.
Of course, there was no mobile phones and
No,
nothing, because I came to Glasgow in 1989. I did a foundation course in acting, which we won't go into. But I do remember Glasgow being quite a vibrant place. You coming from London, for me it was very different when I came from an island, and I remember first coming to Glasgow, and the 4 sets of traffic lights, and Byres Road, Hindland Road, University Avenue.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like that. I didn't know what to do because I'd never seen so many sets of lights and buttons. And I remember pressing the buttons and thinking, how am I going to get across the road? Whereas when I did the jump from Glasgow to London, everything in 1998, everything was so vast. You know, where you had dual carriageways in the middle of the city. You know what I mean? Where it was just such an eye-opener for me.
Yeah, well, I was brought up next to a dual carriageway. So I had to walk walk underneath the dual carriageway to go anywhere from my house, because the house was sandwiched between the river and a different Great Western Road, the Great Western Road in West London. And so everything, like my school, the church, the high street, the buses, everything were all the other side of the dual carriageway. And that's like right in the middle of London.
I know when I go in and visit my friend in Chiswick, we still have to go under this.
Yes, that's right.
There's a pub beside it, and before you come out to walking towards Chiswick High Street, it's like always going under that, and it's actually quite a wee maze as well.
Oh yes.
Oh, so yeah.
But yeah, my culture shock was sort of the other way around then to yours, because I was going from London, which I was brought up in London in the sort of 70s and 80s, and it wasn't as clean and shiny and wealthy looking as it is now. It was quite rough around the edges. So I felt very at home in Glasgow because it was so walkable, and people were much more friendly as well.
Yeah.
I know it's sort of a cliche that Londoners aren't friendly, but that way that people will literally just start a conversation with you here is still quite different.
Well, I had the opposite experience when my very first day in London, but when the train came in the morning, it was really busy. So I thought, I'll just wait for the next one, it'll be quieter. But obviously they don't get any quieter.
No such thing.
And when I went on, it was raining and I had an umbrella and I hit someone and I went, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. And the look they gave me, and I thought, okay, just don't say anything. Just don't look at anybody. And that was it. It was just nobody speaks to each other, nobody. And I thought, wow, this is a culture shock. So it must be nice to come the other way.
Yeah.
Come to Glasgow where everybody wants to be your pal.
Yes.
I want to ask you as well, because obviously we've met through social media, and you're very open on your Instagram and you put up some lovely pictures, but with your family into boat sailing, did you do a lot of sailing? Have I picked this?
Yes. I'm a sort of boaty, but my dad was a very, very keen sailor. My mum absolutely hated it.
Okay.
But yes, he felt she didn't have a leg to stand on because they met on a sailing holiday. And so she just used to have to take the anti-anxiety medication and deal with it. But yeah, so we used to just sail, live on a boat and sail around all summer. And so that it's very much it's in my bones, I suppose, the sea.
And does that not come out in some of your? I thought there's maybe a boaty feel to some of your products, which we'll talk about later.
Well, it's absolutely fundamentally at the heart of the brand. That it's a year old this month.
Oh, fabulous!
I launched my brand. The fundamental inspiration behind it is Dazzle camouflage, which was a form of camouflage that was applied to ships in the First World War.
Ah, okay, fantastic. So after you moved back down, you obviously got that post that after graduating, but I've obviously discovered something, and everybody now has discovered that you designed the the material and
the whole interior.
the whole interior.
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, I keep on having to kind of jump in and say I didn't design the fabric. We had a textile designer design the fabric. It's a very specialised thing to design a moquette. And as an interior designer, you're a collaborator, so you're bringing together all the different skills. So when in the first company that I worked at, we designed lots of different things, shops and offices and things, but we also weirdly had this reputation for designing the interiors of trains, and the Glasgow subway was one of them. So, and one of the people, so then we're collaborating with engineers, with all the different kind of contractors that are required to. It's quite a complex thing to create an interior that has to move and rattle for decades and survive whatever. So yeah, we worked with a textile designer called Pat Lumsden. I mean, obviously we briefed her, and then she would come back with different designs, and then so it's very much, as I say, a process. But yeah, it was, and I'd forgotten, not exactly forgotten that I'd done it, but I was on one of the old legacy coaches just before they took them off, and I just took a quick photograph and stuck it on my Instagram and said, "Oh, I used to I designed this," like whenever that was, nearly 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. Goodness me. And there was just this outpouring of of grief, because it's and sadness. But then I was also getting texts from my really, really good friends who like, "Wait, what? You designed that?" Because I hadn't even said. It just didn't really, it was just something that I did a long time ago, and I just had kind of forgotten that I'd done it. And there's been some really brilliant conversations that I've been having since then. Yeah, it's really caught people's imagination.
What was nice as well was the little video that I saw was that the leather was Scottish. So, and your connection now with Scotland, having come back to Glasgow, and just at the end, when it was the trains were going out of commission, it's so nice for this to come back, and you reminisce, and people go and put a face to you as well, because you're quite well recognised.
I know, it's funny. And yeah, I don't think when I potted off to art school back all that time, all those years ago, that I would have thought that something that I had designed would end up in a museum, because one of the legacy coaches is now in the Riverside Museum.
Were you not tempted to buy one?
What, a whole coach? Yeah, I don't think there's
for them.
Well, yeah, I don't think my West End front garden would quite fit it. I should have bought one of the seats. I was hoping they might give me one.
Oh, they might
give me one.
Just give her one.
Yes.
So one of the carriages going into the...
It's there already.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, they didn't waste any time.
No.
So when did you come back to Glasgow the second time?
So I worked for various different practices in London doing commercial interiors, as I say, like the trains and things and airports and all sorts. And I married that Glasgow boy, and we had a baby. Frank, who was born in 1999, and we took the decision to move back to Glasgow to bring up our family here, that we felt that it would be a better place to bring up our children. So that's when we came back.
And obviously bringing up a family then, but were you working at the same time, or?
Yeah, I never didn't work, actually. I was working for a design practice at the time when I was pregnant, and I handed in my notice whilst I was on my 3-month statutory minimum maternity leave, because that's what it used to be.
Wow.
And my boss made me go back to work my notice. And I'd taken on a homer thinking, oh, I'm sure I can just carry on doing interior design while I've got a baby, because you don't know what it's going to be like until you become a parent, that's not realistic. But so I did a design project while I was on mat leave. Then 3 months after Frank was born, went back to work. And then we moved to Glasgow. And then shortly after we moved back to Glasgow, we were staying with the in-laws, and I went to see the head of department at GSA of the interior design department and asked him for a job to do some teaching.
Oh, brilliant.
So I started doing lecturing part-time at the art school, and then somebody asked me to do their house, and then I just started doing people's houses. And I've never really not worked apart from like to go on holiday, and I very rarely go on holiday.
You're married to the job now.
I am, yes. Well, that's certainly all I'm married to now. It is a great relief.
I was going to say, so when you design an interior of a house, do you give your clients your input, or do you wait, or is it a collaboration? Or if they suggest something that's absolutely hideous, would you go, no, I'm either not going to do that or that's not going to work?
I always talk about it being a collaborative process. I think you can't be a designer for as long as I have been and only do your own ideas, because you just get really, really bored. And especially if you're designing somebody's home, then it needs to reflect them. So really everything that I design when it comes to residential interiors comes from my communication with the client, from asking and wheedling out of them something that is in there, but they just don't know how to articulate it. And, sometimes there might be an outlandish idea that they might come up with. And if it's not feasible, then we'll maybe just talk it through, like why, what is it about that idea?
Okay.
And then kind of learn from that, and then maybe like there's a new solution that's more appropriate, shall we say, will come out of it. But even like a bad idea is still information.
You were teaching at the part-time, and let's move on to what everybody knows you for.
No, it's mad, isn't it?
Scotland's Home of the Year.
I know. It's got a random phone call out of the blue asking me to be on this show, and I said no.
Really?
Yes, because I was too busy. I had 2 kids, 2 jobs. I was a single parent, no. And although my kids were pretty virtually fledged at that point, I just didn't have the bandwidth for it. And I had a contract at the art school as well, which means you can't take any more than 2 weeks off in a row. And
what changed your mind?
The second fire.
Okay.
That made me available. The combination of that and a bit of a conversation.
I'm going, no, it wasn't you that started the fire.
I didn't start the fire in order to...
It was always burning, perhaps.
Yes.
As Billy
No, but it's interesting. So my ex-husband he's a TV producer. So I very much, and I was a child actor. So I'm very much not that excited about the idea of being on TV. It's not something I had ever pursued or been bothered about. I'm not really, I wasn't ever particularly interested in being famous. That's why I decided to stop being an actor and go to art school.
Something I didn't know.
Well, you obviously don't follow my Instagram closely enough.
Oh, well, I've got a lot of people I follow. I have to stalk a lot of people.
Yes, well, you need to carve out more time to do it properly.
Oh, no.
But
can we go back? We'll come back to the acting.
Okay, all right. What was it? The Shotty. Yeah. So yes. So I just wasn't that bothered about being on TV, and I also wasn't overjoyed about the idea of judging people's homes. So I had some conversations with the producers about, what does that really mean? I don't really want to judge someone's taste, because people should be able to have a giant willy in their house if that's what they really want, and who am I to be the judge of that? And they kind of didn't understand what I meant. And we talked about the tone of the show and how it could be respectful of different tastes and different approaches, and talk more about the idea of home and what home means to people and how that's expressed. So that's the 2 reasons why I ended up doing it. Yeah.
Okay. I follow it. every series. I probably missed the first couple of series. I'm obviously probably 2020, 2021, because my husband was seriously ill. But we both got into it. We follow it faithfully and we love it because Anne McAlpine as well does the voiceover, and I always love it when she talks about farms and things. I'm like, obviously, she was 2 syllables in farm.
She's got a beautiful voice.
She has. She's got a fantastic voice.
She's got a beautiful face as well.
I know. She's just beautiful.
Oh, I know.
And I love we obviously, my husband's a bit addicted to things like grand designs and things like that. So we've always been fascinated by other people's homes. But for me, I just can't bear to see a show home. I always feel a home has to be lived in. Like our house is a bit of a mishmash of bits and pieces and things and old and new, and I love antiques and antique furniture. And I have to say, I was fortunate enough, obviously, to be invited into your house when you were selling your products, which we will talk about. And I didn't know what to expect, because I thought, because the first thing my husband asked was, what was our house like? I lived in a very large tenement in Finniston, very similar, with the cornicing and the huge space and the wooden floors. And, there's just, I was looking around your house and I just loved it. Obviously there was lots of people in, but I was just looking at
mental,
things.
wasn't it?
It was very mental. And I was totally fascinated by the ancestor pictures. I was like, wow. And then your little quirky things like the crocodile nutcracker that was on these things just caught my eye. And you've got this lovely wee set of shot glasses. And I was like, oh my God, they're amazing. And it was just fantastic to see. And I've obviously read about these amazing red leather chairs that are,
yes,
and it's just so quirky, but it's very you. And I think that's what you look for, isn't it?
Yes.
A house to reflect somebody's personality.
Yeah. I mean, it's become almost like a kind of mantra, hasn't it? The home reflecting the personality of the people that live there. But really, that's absolutely the baseline of what we're looking for. And nothing in my home has been chosen because it matches anything else. The only thing that connects everything in my home is that I've chosen it and I love it.
Yeah.
So I just have a kind of a rule that whether I found it in the back lane, a charity shop, or whether it was a bit of I'll put it on the credit card moment, I've acquired it because I absolutely love it. And that's the advice that I always give to anybody, whether it's a client or someone just asking me, like, how should I approach doing my home? And I just say, you just have to ask yourself that question every single time you make a decision. What's your motivation? If it's because it's on trend, if it's because you think your friends will like it, if it's because you think it will improve the value of your home, those are the wrong reasons. It might also do those things, but the only reason that matters is that you love it. And if you love it, then somehow through the weird filter of your brain, everything will work together. I have absolute faith in that theory.
That brings me to my mother's reaction to a picture that I bought when my husband was in hospital. We had looked at pictures to put in places, and I just saw this and I went, I have to get that for the downstairs bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought it, and there was a hook already there because obviously the people we had bought from. And I remember showing it to my mum, and her being in her, Christian Hebridean upbringing, she was horrified. Mm-hmm. Everybody makes a comment about that picture when they go into the bathroom and they say, it's very you. So it's just a black and white. She's got rollers in her hair.
Oh.
She's swigging out of a bottle and her pants are at her knees and she's sitting on the toilet.
So it sounds fun.
And I like it.
Yeah.
And somebody once, I think a friend of mine asked another friend of mine, what's Karina's new house like? And they said, it's very Karina. So
that's the right answer.
yeah. And we don't, I don't go with, you know, I remember when I was younger, because I was late to the buying the house thing, people talking about coffee tables and curtains and cushions, and I used to roll my eyes and go, oh God. But my husband he's got the eye. He was arty.
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, we were talking about creativity. Creative in the acting, maybe comedy thingy sense. Well, I'd like to think I am a bit.
Yeah.
But he's arty. He did higher art.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an eye. He can, well, pick that, and he's very good that way.
Sounds like you're a perfect team.
Well, sometimes snores like a bloody freight train, though. That does my head in. I just want to smother him.
Well, my significant other is a cat, so
okay, right.
That's peaceful.
Is this a new significant other or an old one?
Well, she's she's an old cat. She's middle-aged.
Okay, well,
but the situation of her being my only significant other is new.
Yes. Has that brought a new sense of being to you, or
yeah?
Was it something that you weren't expecting?
Yeah. So I've spoken a little bit about it on my Instagram, and I wasn't really sure whether to or not.
I thought this is great what you did, and to be so honest, especially when you're in the public eye, because people don't like to put it out there.
Well, that's it. And I think there's I always try to be. It's a fine balance, like between oversharing and authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think people need to see that people in the public eye are humans too, that make mistakes, and that sometimes their life fucks up. And my life did absolutely fuck up. The way that I've spoken about it on social media has not been about having a go at anyone, really. Not even having a go at myself, although there was a time when I was. And I think it's important to show people that, you know, everyone's life's real. And everyone has ups and downs, and it's about what you learn from it and how you move forward. That's important. And it's not a situation that I expected to be in, but I have to say a very interesting upshot is that I seem to be absolutely motoring at the moment in all the other aspects of my life. So productive. There's so many exciting things on the horizon and opportunities, and creatively as well. I'm really kind of fired up. So there's always an upside. It sometimes just takes a while to find it.
You're saying there's lots coming up. Would you have accepted so much, or would you have thought, oh no, I need to spend time? So
who knows?
Yeah,
who knows? Who knows? My headspace just is occupied differently.
But I have to say, and I don't know how you feel about me saying this, but I think it's become quite, and I know from friends of mine, you've become quite, you're like a girl crush for some of my friends, a bit of a style icon. You know, and, you know, for women in their 50s, I have to say, you are a real inspiration. I think people nowadays are in their 50s are going, you know, menopause, and, you know, we're not seen. I found there was a bit of invisibility. You're proving that you know, that's
opposite. Well, you know, well, okay, so that's really interesting, isn't it? Because I think that idea about invisibility, it's about what you project, about how you carry yourself in the world, isn't it? I mean, I literally, I was on TV the year that I turned 50. And that's the year that suddenly, like, everyone's bloody looking at me. I think the thing about invisibility is really interesting. I think it's a little bit about how you move through the world, about how you feel about yourself. And I think that if you know who you are, and it's not about being cocky, but it's just about knowing who you are and being comfortable with who you are, warts and all, that you can move through the world with your head held high. You can make connections with people, that you are noticed. Whether that's because, I mean, I get noticed because I'm on TV, but I just think that I generally have entered the era of not giving a fuck. I just don't give a fuck anymore. I care a lot about the people that matter to me, and I care a lot about the issues that matter to me passionately, more than ever. But I also don't give a fuck. And that is incredibly empowering. Like, you know what? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, if you do what you do with integrity, intend to do no harm, you might accidentally do harm, but intend to do no harm, then you just have to keep blundering on.
Someone once said to me, I'm 52 this year, and someone said to me, "You've got that fucking 50s attitude," and I think that does
It's
come.
a thing.
I remember a friend saying to me, "In your 30s, a woman gets an air of confidence like she never had before,"
Mm-hmm.
and then I remember hitting my 40s, and then dreading. I think I dreaded my 40s, and I have a group of friends. We've been lifelong friends, and we're all in our 50s now. And we talk about things that were 40 years ago, and we think it's only like 12 years ago. And we do go, how did that happen? But I always have this mindset that I you know, I might be 52 on paper, but up here I'm not. And I'm just, I feel very comfortable with myself. Okay, I struggle with things that I'm going with, we have the menopause, and that's,
Yeah, that's no picnic for sure.
We've gone through so much, and then what happens? Oh, we grow a beard just to make well, I do. You can't see it just there. I've just had it sorted. But it's all that. I think 50s is the new 30s, I would say. Or is it? I don't know.
But just being 50 is fucking fabulous.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think get t-shirts made for that. Now, there are two things that I still want to speak about.
Yeah.
So your lovely new range, that is a year old.
Yes.
It's so exciting. You've got lovely cushions. There's lots of throws. I bought some things myself, a print, but you've got wallpaper now that you don't have to match up.
Correct.
This is idiot-proof wallpaper,
yes,
isn't it?
Absolutely, and you won't have loads spare. You won't have to cover your jotters with all the leftovers because you haven't got a pattern match.
But it looks fantastic, and developing more products.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I keep on having more ideas. This is what I mean. I just feel like I'm in a really fruitful time at the moment. So I have got the first bits of a new range have already been launched, which is inspired by the moquette and the interiors of the Glasgow subway. I just felt really obvious that I should do something in response to that. So there'll be more products coming that are inspired by that. Not a replication of it, just inspired by that. And it's actually fascinating. I found it fascinating to explore something that I worked on as a junior designer, as part of a team, in the early 90s, to look at that now through the lens of my experience and sort of play with it, play with the shapes and play with the motifs and collaborate with other designers and so on. I think I at some point I'm going to need to slow down on having the ideas, because my spare room is now piled high to the ceiling with merch. But yes, I have home fragrance, I've got art prints, cushions, throws, stationery,
candles.
Yes. reed diffusers, all sorts of things, all
that's
sorts of things. And I've got collaborations upcoming with other companies, which I'm really excited about as well.
Fantastic.
That's at annacampbelljones.com.
Fabulous. No. I want to go back because obviously, as you said, I haven't been watching your Instagram close enough. Do tell me about the child acting.
Yeah. Well, I was it probably wouldn't surprise you to hear that I was an extremely independent child. That my mother's neighbour told her that I was bringing myself up.
Okay.
And I wanted to be, I was in all the school plays and all the choirs and all, and I mean, my parents were atheists, and I also was, didn't really think about God at all, but I went to church every Sunday to have a good old sing in the choir.
Oh, brilliant.
So I just wanted to perform. And when I was 13, I took myself to an audition for a movie.
Okay.
And I got the lead role.
And what was that movie?
It was a David Putnam film that was made for Channel 4 for the first year that Channel 4 was broadcast. So that would have been, 1984. And it was on limited release as well in the cinema, and it was a B movie in the States, a kind of coming of age film set in the 1960s. It has been buried. It's, I would say, probably has not aged well.
Okay.
Shall we say. The sorts of things that they were asking a 13-year-old girl to do, I don't think they would want to do that now.
Well,
I could just leave it at that.
Yes, that's fine.
But I had a great time, and I think the film's good. As I say, it just I think, yes, the fact that you can't find it anywhere, I think, speaks volumes.
Well, I don't think anything ages well now, because one of my favourite Scottish films, Gregory's Girl, I watched it maybe about a year ago.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Oh, that hasn't aged well.
No, the tits, bum, fannies, the lot. Yeah, not great.
It's just, and even, I just look at it and go, oh,
I loved that film.
It was, I can quote lines on it, as it's just, I think everybody wanted to be Dee Hepburn. Well, I think I did for a while.
Yeah. So it was lovely. It was a very similar era, possibly even less appropriate. Anyway, but that was I had decided I wanted to be an actor, so I went for an audition for a movie, and I got the lead role in the movie, and then I was like, well, is that it? It wasn't like, I don't know what I was expecting.
Okay.
But it was fine. I had a great time. But I changed my mind. I was like, okay, I don't want to do that.
From the film, or
yeah, well, I mean, I've told the story before, but I was on a chat show, promoting the film, and the person interviewing me, asked me what my next project was, and I was there like in my kind of proto-punk kind of like lounging on the thing, and I was going, I'm not going to be an actor. I'm going to go to art school. And I just had this change of heart. I wanted to go to art school. I wanted to hang around with young people. I wanted to kiss boys in bands, and actually working on a film set, as you'll know, is kind of boring and hard.
Yeah, it is pretty intense. And maybe people don't realise that. And it can be a bit monotonous, but I do enjoy doing it.
It wasn't awful. It wasn't awful, but you can imagine it, you're a teenager. You just think, well, that's not where the fun's at.
I think nowadays everything's so, you're chaperoned, and you're, it's all. When I was filming recently, we had child actors on, but they're chaperoned. You're only allowed to the children are only allowed to film for a certain amount of time. And
we had all of that.
Yeah,
it was the content really that was dubious.
I know you haven't told me the film name. I'll find out one day. I'll do some digging.
It was not hard.
Oh, is it not?
No, you can Google it. If you Google it, it comes up. There's a YouTube clip of the trailer.
I mentioned earlier that people see you as a style icon. But you're all about sustainability, aren't you? You like your second hand.
I do. It's interesting because it's funny when I look at clips of the series, like from like series one. You know, I was just like wearing like my own, just wearing my clothes. You know, and I wasn't. I thought I'm on this show to be. I'm a middle-aged lady. I'm on this show to be an expert, right? Because I'm an interior designer. I've been an interior designer for a really, really long time, and I wasn't. I didn't even have a weather eye out for the fact that people would follow me on social media, or that they would talk to me about my appearance or my hair or my clothes. It just didn't cross my mind that people were going to be remotely interested in anything that a 50-year-old person was wearing, that I would just on that show because I've been doing it a really long time and I know some stuff, right, when it comes to interiors. And Kate Spears, who was a co-judge back then, she and I became really close. And she's a proper influencer and very understands that world a lot. And she kind of coached me. She talked to me about like that world. She's like, you could create a brand out of who you are. And I was like, that feels a bit weird. Like, it kind of gives me the ick, really. So it took me a while. It took me a few years to accept that. If I posted a picture of a lovingly crafted interior, that I might have spent 3 years to get to the point of it being ready to be professionally photographed, that will get a 20th of the amount of likes as a selfie of me on the bus with a new top on. Right? And I was annoyed about that initially. And then I was like, well, you know, that's fine. If you are what you are and people interest you for whatever reason, that's their choice. And the fact that people like what I wore, I was like, well, that's interesting. I never really thought about. I've always liked wearing colourful clothes. I've always liked clashing patterns and just expressing myself with what I wear. And I started to do it more consciously, I suppose. And then people ask me where I'm getting my stuff from, and I'm like, oh gosh, right. But I really care about sustainability. And now I'm doing a thing where if I tell people where that top is from, then like loads of people are going to buy it, and I don't really want that to happen. I've always worn secondhand clothes. It was Chelsea Market, there was Kensington Market in London. When I was a teenager, I used to buy secondhand clothes from there. And then there was Flip, various iterations of Flip in Glasgow, and different spellings as well. And I never quite understood what that was all about. So I've always been interested in secondhand clothes and restyling them and wearing them in different ways. So I've just been doing that much more proactively. And I haven't bought any new clothes for 10 months now.
That's good. Whereas I'm the compulsive buyer, but yes.
Well, you can still be a compulsive buyer. You just have to go into charity shops instead.
I'm trying now. I've become a bit of a vintage queen. Mm-hmm. I've put a lot of things that when I say compulsive buyer, I buy it, put it in the wardrobe with a ticket on it, and then don't wear it, and then 2 years later go, oh my god, I didn't know I had that, and then sell it for half the price. So this it says
there's a flaw in that system, isn't there?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I've done that, and I went through jewelry.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I have hardly any jewelry, but the jewelry that I've got all means something. So I wear my father's. My parents died just before Shotty, actually.
Oh,
so it's so sad that they didn't get to see it. Although I think they've been very proud, but I don't think my dad would have approved probably of all these non-white interiors. But so I wear my dad's signet ring and I wear my mum's bracelet, and and I've got her necklace on today as well. But so for me, jewelry is it's that it comes back to that thing of the objects in your life. They tell a story about you, and so I carry two people that I loved very much and lost. I carry them with me on my body, both in ink and in jewelry.
It's the ink as well. Is this something?
Some of it's about
I saw pictures of you obviously when you were in your teenage years, and there's not one tattoo.
No.
And then all of us, how many do you have?
I haven't counted them.
No.
No.
Do you find them addictive?
I haven't had one for a while. Yeah, I just get one when the mood takes me, really. When I get an idea. Yeah.
And do they mean? Is there meaning to some of them, or
Some of them I've just gone in and asked. It's Stephen Wrigley who does all of my tattoos.
Okay.
He's the son of Terry. People in Glasgow will know of Terry's tattoos. So yeah, on occasion I've just said to him, "Well, I've got this gap. What do you think?"
Okay.
And he'll just say, "I haven't done this one for a while." I'll go, "Yeah, okay." So,
Brilliant.
so sometimes it's a bit random. Well, not random because he's the expert, right? I asked people to trust me as a designer. It seemed only fair that I should trust his expertise as a tattoo artist to make just some of the decisions about what goes on my.
I love them. I've only got a couple of tattoos. I think if I'd carried on, they do become highly addictive.
Yeah.
I still go, I'm going to get another couple. I know what I want. There's one, I want a Gaelic inscription. But
Will it be Shake Your Tits, It's Friday?
it could be. That's something I need to do. So it's quite simple. The tits bit is just hits. Because you just drop so it's cra the hits.
Cra the hits.
And then she jehunye haun. She jehunye haun.
She jehunye haun.
So cra the hits, she jehunye haun. So that is Shake Your Toots, It's Friday in Gaelic.
Yeah.
I actually have a t-shirt with it on, but I would love, maybe we could do a wee collaboration of Crud the Hits t-shirt.
Yes, absolutely.
There's something there, definitely.
You need something fun for every day of the week.
Yes, but Friday's
special.
Yes. Now, there's only one thing left for me to say to you. And I've always wanted to say it. Anna Campbell-Jones, I give you a 10.
Yay!
Thank you for listening to
so
For
much.
Sake with Carina MacLeod. Don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe, share and rate.